do Fallout NPCs get home by Any Austin? I got his videos in my recommended, and I also subpartially reacted to one of his videos, not this one, because then I wouldn't be reacting to it on stream. But yeah, I think I find his type of videos very interesting, and I wanted to watch one on stream. Let's see if it makes for a good video or not.
Hey dog, it's time for you to go home. It's not safe out here. You've got to go back to Vault 101. Where the heck is he going? I mean, literally, where the heck is he going? We know where he says he's going. And
oh man, I mean, don't they usually actually just start making their way to the vault and then they just teleport? Because obviously you'll fucking fast travel probably, so they'll fast travel too and just teleport to the vault. Or do they actually make? Because like, to be fair, I guess it depends on the game. Because I think in Fallout 4 they always just make their way, like no matter what. Or in Skyrim definitely. In Skyrim I'm pretty sure like it might be like half of the time, maybe RNG, I'm not sure. And Skyrim, there were plenty of times where I like teleported to the location where they were going, and they were still like traveling, and I had to wait for them to come back, or like skip time, like, you know, because when you fast travel, it's not like it skips like it skips a certain amount of time. I'm pretty sure into the future. So you have to like press T and then wait time, you know. I'm curious if they actually are moving or not. I guess technically they can't be moving since the area isn't even loaded, but like I guess it's simulated movement. But yeah, I guess that is a good question. What happens to them actually? Like, well. A better question would be what happens to them if you're not there.
I'm pretty sure he'll get there, but is he really gonna walk all the way back? Other characters in Fallout 3 do this too. They say they're gonna meet you somewhere.
We're gonna head back home now.
And then they just run off. And that's interesting because there are a lot of deadly creatures in the wasteland of Fallout 3, and at least in the case of Dogmeat, these characters can die. So is Dogmeat just invincible when he's walking home? Does he even interact with these robots and these monsters?
Those are actually very good questions. That's actually very interesting to pose. That's actually a very interesting question to pose. It would be cool if they actually did always pose the danger of dying, which is why, like, okay, you wanna dismiss a companion? Well, you better fucking escort them back if you ever want them alive again. You better escort them back yourself.
Between us and where he's going, that he's gonna have to cross.
Or, you know, just, you know, swim? Quick load or quick save, teleport to the location, wait, and if they die on the way, then quick load, do it again. Do a cooking stream? I can't cook. I can't cook. I'm Gen Z, bro. You think I can cook?
I've never seen him swim. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to be following Dogmeat as well as a variety of other NPCs from the places they are to the places
I'm a Gen Z man. You think I can cook?
So we can figure out the real
you really
details
think I can cook?
Of how they
White
make
male.
These journeys,
Minus
or
specify.
if they make them at all.
The one least likely
For this
to be able
video,
to cook.
I spent roughly 20 hours sitting in front of my television
we're the
following
least competent.
NPCs around in a variety of different video games. While I was doing that, there was a 0% chance I would have eaten a decent meal if it wasn't for the sponsor of this video, Factor.
Don't care.
Now, as soon as I told
whenever I see most replay, I just love it. I just love it so much because you know that like, it's people skipping the ad.
Dogmeat to walk all the way back to Vault 101, he immediately walked in the opposite direction that he was supposed to, which does not bode well.
What?
I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's a smart dog, and I'm sure he'll obviously figure it out. But in the oh. Dogmeat has passed away. Yeah, it turns out that Dogmeat does not lose his taste for blood, even when you're not accompanying him directly. And as long as you're in relatively close proximity, he will just run head first into any enemies that he can smell. And he will usually get himself killed pretty quickly, which obviously is sad, but is sort of a prison of his own making because he usually does pick these fights himself. But we do need him alive in order to do this exercise, so I'm going to have to play guard duty going forward. And let me tell you...
That's funny. I always play these games with like the whatever follower mod is available, and usually those let you like make it so the followers only attack when you are attacked or when you attack, and not just, you know, whenever an enemy is in proximity. I remember specifically from Skyrim that was a big thing because then I'd actually like be able to sneak with a companion, because usually you can't because they just attack the enemy. Even if you're sneaking, they just be like on guard, and then they go fucking swinging at the fucking enemy, and then obviously you're not sneaking anymore. There's plenty of other ones that I also had to install for stealth. Like, there was one that basically makes it so enemies can't trigger traps, because that was also an issue. They would. In fact, I think I also downloaded a mod that makes just enemies straight up, like, undetectable from enemies, because they would actually not be able to, like, sneak properly. Fallout 3 is so nostalgic, constant green filter, yeah. And it's funny, like, I played Fallout 3, like, through completion, but, like, New Vegas, I've, like, barely touched. Like, I mean, I said barely touched. I've done some side quests, but I haven't like played like much of the main quest.
To do this, you better have a good gun. The further Dogmeat walked, the weirder his directional choices got.
You know, that's
like
the one that most people
he
prefer.
The
it says better.
of the turn I would have expected him to go based on where we're trying to get to. But I almost wondered if there was something about the fact that we had to cross the Potomac River that was getting in the way. Because again, at this point, I don't know that Dogmeat can swim. So maybe he's looking for a spot where he can cross the river on some sort of bridge, or maybe just a spot where the river is dried up. But no. He can swim, so I don't know what he was doing. I don't know why we walked so far.
Yeah, I've never seen that animation.
Why
what the
did you
fuck?
walk so far? And then as soon as he got out of the river, he just...
I've actually never seen that animation.
Again. And you'll notice this pretty much any time you follow an NPC around in a Bethesda game. There is a lot of sort of wandering one direction and then immediately turning around and double backing the other direction. There's a lot of like stopping and just looking at nothing for a little while. They just make a lot of odd choices in terms of how they get from point A to point B. Now, my first thought is that behaviors like this are just glitches or mistakes or lazy development. But I almost got to wondering, if I was to follow people around in real life, would they do similar things? So I went to my local grocery store and I followed...
You what? You mean as if you like go up to a random person, tell them, hey, go to this location, and then they don't go there? I mean, yeah, obviously they're not gonna go there. Why would they listen to you? Like, you're just just some fucking random dude.
A couple of different people around very gently. You know, it wasn't weird. It was people watching. It was regular people watching. And as I observed these people, I would make a mental note anytime I noticed them doing something that if it were in a game, I would consider it kind of like a glitch. And let me tell you, we do this stuff all the time. There was a 5-minute chunk that I was looking to go buy some sugar-free Red Bull, and within that 5-minute chunk, I did it 3 times. I would walk one way and then just kind of zone out and then realize I passed the aisle and then turn back around and then go back the other way. I saw a lady just like bump into a wall with her cart. And I'm not making fun of these people. I'm saying this is like a normal human thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally tons of videos online that's like humans acting like NPCs, just doing the weirdest fucking shit ever.
I don't notice you do. I definitely do it all the time. And I'm a genius. You know, we tend to overestimate ourselves.
The funny thing is, I never do that kind of shit. For a very simple reason. I'm just hyper self-aware. I'm just, in every moment, I'm thinking like how I'll be, well, not how I'll be, I guess how I'll be perceived, you know, by others. Not that I care about that too much. It's just, I guess maybe I do. I don't know, subconsciously, I'm not sure. Because obviously, if I actually did care, then I'd maybe like bother like getting like a, you know, styling my hair maybe, you know, or not having my fucking beard look disgusting and all stringy and shit, wiry and stuff. But yeah, I always like, I'm just concerned, like, I don't want to fucking look like a weirdo, right? That's the only thing. I don't want to like actually do something weird that will like draw attention to myself, because I fucking hate having attention. I hate having eyes on me, at least physically, you know. So I always like end up thinking about that, which is why I never like actually do anything weird. Just super self-aware.
Much like a Bethesda game,
hyper-aware,
you might
I
say
suppose.
that we were kind of lazily developed. Food for thought. Now, I'm not saying Bethesda intentionally programmed these things to run badly so that we would it would seem more human. I'm just saying that as humans, we have flaws, and a lot of times those flaws accidentally make their ways into the works of art that we have. And I think that's good. I think that's a positive thing. If every NPC just like did the right thing and was efficient all the time, it'd be like living in a crazy Elon
Surprised you don't hate being on camera. Well, yeah, I don't know, with the camera it's kind of different. I don't know, I feel like because it's not people directly, I guess it's literally just, I mean, I'm not like, for example, Yarek, when I talk to you, right, I don't see a person in front of me, like I don't feel nervous, because and the best thing is like, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what kind of impression you have about me, because I will never see you again. Like, I'll never see you in my life, you know what I mean, ever personally, most likely. I'll never meet you or anything like that. Or the chances, at least, of that are extremely low, you know what I mean? So there's not like any kind of like nervousness of like, oh dude, I don't want to leave a bad impression on this individual, because later on, and what if we meet again, it's gonna be awkward, you know, and shit like that. It's gonna be painful. Like, I can give less of a shit, like, you know what I mean? Also, there's something like about just being public, which is just kind of like removes the shame factor, I feel like completely. I don't know why. I guess it's kind of because it's I can always like hide behind like, oh no, it's just my personality, guys. I was just playing a character, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's not actually me. And to be fair, most people who watch streamers, they don't connect that that's an actual real human, which again makes it like way less embarrassing to do weird shit, or like just anything, or just in general, you know, be perceived by people.
Land. No, thanks. Now, that said, there are some behaviors from NPCs that I could not justify with this roundabout logic I'm using. For example, another NPC that I really wanted to follow around was this child. This is a child that you rescue from slavery in Paradise.
I don't think saying you wanted to follow a child around is a very good thing to mention.
Falls, and after you do that,
I wanted to follow I wanted to stalk someone, so I decided on a child.
I'm gonna go.
A child who was a slave, mind you.
A little lamplight.
We're gonna head back home now.
And then the child runs off into the night. But what's interesting about children in Fallout is that they cannot be harmed. I think they're the only.
Those are children. Why? These look like old grandmas, and this looks like middle-aged men. Those are not children, motherfucker. How are those children?
I think they're the only NPC that has God-given protection strictly based on their demographic. But unlike Dogmeat, he also doesn't have any way of fighting back. So when this invincible child runs into a rad scorpion, what's he gonna do? Usually
I don't think they do Super Cat. I mean, 2 of them were black and 2 of them were female. So I don't think so. I don't think so.
Eventually, they'll get bored of hiding and then they'll run. Between those 2 actions, usually the enemy will either go away from them or they will then run away from the enemy and everything's fine. But there was one instance where the kid ran away from a Mirelurk King, which is like a really buff fish guy, probably a foot taller than me, and I'm 7 foot. I'm 5'11". But the kid, he was trapped in a corner by one of these Mirelurk Kings, and eventually, I guess he decided...
I'm laughing at him for being 5'11". I'm 5'7", so I mean, I'm 6 foot. So, you know, I definitely have the right to laugh at him.
He wasn't going to be able to outrun him, and he wasn't going to be able to hide from him forever. He had to get to Little Lamplight eventually. So he just fought him. A little 4-foot-tall kid just went full-on open fists with
What
this.
the fuck? I didn't know that could happen. That's so good, bro. What the fuck? A child just fucking piece the shit out of a Mirelurk King and just fucking kills it. What are you talking about? I never said 5'7". I never said it. I literally never said it. I don't know what you're talking about. Yarick, ban him now. Yarick, ban him, quick. I never said it. I don't know what you're talking about. I know what you said it. I heard you. You're delusional, schizophrenic.
So they just kind of boxed for a little while,
Schizophrenic.
and eventually the kid ran away, and that was that. Pretty funny. Anyway, back to the dog. I think the funniest thing about escorting Dogmeat around is that anytime he brutally kills somebody, no matter how much damage he took, no matter how far away he had to wander from the path he was on, the moment that enemy is dead, he just locks all the way back in and starts walking. Same speed, straight back to Vault 101, allegedly. And this is even more amusing if you consider that it sort of implies that this is what happens every time you send Dogmeat back to the vault. You just normally don't see it. See you later, Dogmeat. Hope you don't commit any 1st or 2nd or 3rd degree crimes on your way to the vault. You know,
that is a pretty fucked up thought to think. Yeah, he's gonna bring up Schrodinger's cat. Yeah. It's really fucked up to think about that. Just every single time you send a companion out into the world, they just commit mass murder. Just mash genocide. And the next time you see them, they're just like, hey, what's up? It's been a while. Just fucking all smiley face and shit.
You know, it's kind of like a Schrodinger's dog situation, right? Dogmeat is neither alive nor dead. He's neither guilty nor innocent of murder unless you're looking at him. Which also means that the game doesn't always function correctly unless you're not looking directly at it. The illusion of these characters getting from one place to another is broken if you actually want to look at these characters getting from one place to another. You need to look away in order for the universe to hold together, which may actually be true of real life as well. I don't think too hard about that. I just said it. I'm not a scientist. Could be true, though. Now, as I think we all
I think you need to be a scientist. You know, and I don't think being a scientist would, like, help with that. Like, you objectively cannot prove that, you know, for example, I don't believe this, by the way, just, you know, saying it, that we don't live in a simulation. That is impossible to prove, obviously. It's literally impossible. How are you going to prove it? Everything could be, like, some kind of super high fucking form of stuff. Also, again, literally no actual way to prove that you are not the only conscious being on the planet. Again, no way to prove that. Like, for all I know, I could be the only conscious person on the planet. I don't believe that again, but that's also possible. And you can't really disprove it. Because, well, what are you gonna say? Well, I think it's like, well, like, you could just be saying that, like, it's actually impossible to, like, prove. Like, with science or anything like that. Because ultimately you could just be like, well, yeah, that's only happening because I'm here. Like, as soon as I'm not here, it's gonna stop happening. And obviously you can disprove that once the person dies. But then again, that just means that they were not, you know, the main character. And actually you are, whoever the fuck you are, you know?
About 90 minutes, Dogmeat finally made a
until you die.
Navigation
and then
decision.
For someone else it gets proved otherwise. Again, it's actually impossible, like, go around it.
east and walked all the way back to Vault 101. It took about another 2 hours, but it was pretty straightforward from there on out. And just like if you fast travel to the vault, he walks up the little path and then perches up there waiting for you to return. So that's great. And if you extrapolate this to the whole game, it's actually pretty impressive. I know that it's very old at this point, and I'm sure a lot of you don't think it's as interesting as I do, but I love this idea that if an NPC in a Bethesda game says, I'm gonna go here, and you decide you want to say, prove it, they actually will. It's a little funky because they might get murdered, but the threads of the world are there. It's almost like a big, giant, slightly crappy version of Majora's Mask. You know, perhaps the best Zelda game ever made back on the N64, where they had a 3-day cycle.
No. Ocarina of Time is better.
And every single NPC.
I'll tell you why. It's because Ocarina of Time is 60 FPS.
In this village had a point in space to go to at every single moment, so you could follow people.
It's because Ocarina of Time can be configured to work with gyro controls. You know, Majora's Mask cannot.
Throughout their entire routine across these 3
and as
days.
we all know, aiming in a Zelda game is akin to torture because it is awful. It is just awful. I don't know how they made the aiming so bad in that game, man. Like, first-person shooters are bad too, don't get me wrong, but at least those compensate with, like, aim assist. This shit does not, like, Zelda games do not compensate at all. Like, replaying Majora's Mask was one of the most unfun experiences I've had in my life. Because it ruined my childhood completely, because I loved Majora's Mask. I thought it was the best game out of all of them. And then I replayed, I was like, well, this is shit. It's 30 FPS, it plays like shit. The aiming sucks, and I had to complete the minigame because I'm a 100% gamer, I have to get everything. So I had to complete, like, all the bow minigames to get the stuff. And I think I actually have to complete at least once for, like, a mandatory item, I'm not sure. Yeah, it was quite an unpleasant experience. I really hope that, you know, it gets ported to PC, as it, like, unofficially. Obviously, it's never gonna get ported officially, but like Ocarina of Time was ported to PC unofficially. It can run in 60 FPS. There's like a built-in randomizer. You can choose like the colors of literally everything in the fucking world. A bunch of shit. I'm not gonna say what it's called because it's literally disguised as some, like, it's not disguised as something else, but it's disguised. It doesn't have like the name, you know, Ocarina of Time PC port or something like that. It literally has a completely different name, like that's completely unrelated to it, because otherwise it would get taken down by Nintendo.
Obviously a much more elegant way to do it, but it was also way
Maybe.
smaller in scale. So it's not unique to Bethesda games, right? Even other modern games like Tears of the Kingdom has this same thing going on. You can find NPCs wandering along the paths, and they will go all the way from one place to another place. There are obviously a few wrinkles, right? Nintendo makes their games with a little bit more polish than Bethesda maybe does. Like, for example, characters in Tears of the Kingdom, when it starts raining, as I'm sure we've all seen, they will run and sort of try to find shelter, and they'll look for whatever the closest thing is along their path that will offer kind of an overhang to hide on.
People who genuinely think that any Bethesda game can hold a candle to like Ocarina of Time is fucking insane. Not Ocarina of Time. I've done two. Breath of the Wild is actually just fucking insane. Breath of the Wild is just way better in every single way. The open world is just way better. There's more shit to see, more shit to explore. Not Tears of the Kingdom. That is a different story. Elden Ring better as an open world game? Hell no. There's nothing to do in that world. In Elden Ring, there's just like randomly generated dungeons and that's it. There's no actual cool encounters in the world that you can like find. No actual like neat story quests that flow well. As a game, sure, fully. In every way, that's not true at all. Again, the open world sucks, but whatever.
So in this case, this lady just found like a rock that was sloped just enough that it would protect her from the rain, and she waited for the rain to get done and went back on her way. It's also cool because in Tears of the Kingdom, when you talk to these NPCs, they're not people who are normally going to give you quests. There's not that kind of interaction. They really are background characters, but you could talk to them.
Yeah, but
and
it's
they
still
might say
cool
like,
and it's
"Oh,
immersive. Yeah, and they say like different things and give you tips, and you still will encounter some that will give you side quests, which is very cool. Not these ones that like wander around. Well, there are a couple that do wander around that will give you quests, but still the rest.
Here and look at these things. It's so cool. And then they'll walk, and it turns out they are walking.
The rest, these things, yeah. Like for example, you could like interact with this one. It could be like a what are they called again? Yiga clan, like undercover Yiga clan, and they could just attack you. Like that's such a cool like little open world interaction. Right? That's so cool. Like dynamic events like that are fucking awesome. It's a shame like with games like Fallout and Skyrim, or Fallout has this one thing and that's it. Okay, wait, I disconnected from Twitch. I'm not sure if we're live on YouTube. People on YouTube are gonna have to wait a bit for the Twitch to connect back. Give it a second. Open world fire, the map will clap your cheeks. No. No. Just straight up no. There we go, okay. we should be back on Twitch. I had to pause stream on YouTube for a little while. Sorry for that. So what was I saying again? I said like in Breath of the Wild, there's also like, to be fair, like only one dynamic like open world event, but in Skyrim and Fallout, there's also pretty much only one, which is just a random NPC comes up to you and either attacks you, threatens you, or delivers a mail to you, and that's pretty much it. But you can add so much more to that with mods. It's so cool.
You go see, for example, this lady.
I wish more games leaned into it. Like open world games just need to like do more to like feel alive. Like it sucks. Like they all feel dead. Like I'll give you an example. Elden Ring is an open world game, right? But it doesn't feel like that at all. It has an open world, yes, but it doesn't feel like an open world game because it has nothing in it really. There's like dungeons, side dungeons. There's like mini locations that you could visit, but they're all basically copy pasted locations with no soul whatsoever. Just like, oh, look at these ruins that look like not have no art direction whatsoever. You know what I mean? Just basically look at this like I don't know if I can do this cave that has basically no art direction whatsoever. It's just a cave. Like that's it. Like there's nothing to it. The DLC is a little better when it comes to that. Actually, much better, I'd say. But even then, there's like very few caves and they get reused, which to be fair is still better than like spamming those everywhere. But still, you still know nothing about the Elden Ring DLC. You still didn't play it. What the hell? I'll not spoil it then. You just know that the DLC fixes the open world a lot. Not the story quests, like, or the NPC quests, stuff like that. Still no, it's still awful, just as bad as it was in Elden Ring, and those are objectively bad. Because obviously, how the fuck are you supposed to know like where to go, what to do? There's no tips that get given to you whatsoever. It's dumb. Just finding the characters a chore. You have to like use it with a guide. It's undoable otherwise. And there's not enough of them. Again, there's like no actual random encounters in the entire game, and the rest is just copy pasted, boring shit, boring encounters. Especially considering that the enemies you find, killing them gives you no actual benefit. Like in Breath of the Wild, you will kill the enemies because the weapons break. So there's initiative to kill the enemies. Also, they might have stronger weapons than you. And Tears of the Kingdom, even better. You can combine the weapons. You can find two different weapons, combine them and shit like that. It's very cool. But in Elden Ring, there's no initiative to like fight any of the open world enemies whatsoever, pretty much. Therefore, making every single part of the open world that isn't a dungeon completely useless. And even in dungeons, you most likely will just ignore all the enemies, pick up all the like ores and stuff, reinforcement materials, and then go to the end of the thing, and that's it.
Walked all the way up some steps and went to an observation platform so she could view.
Which is why the DLC didn't repeat that same mistake,
which she had
and actually made it
all the way back at the place she
not an open world, because it's not really. It's more like a Dark Souls style thing. It's not exactly like a huge open world. It's like a linear open level, more like, I'd say.
Started. It's very similar to what Bethesda did
which is way better
ago in Fallout 3, but which is
From Software know how to make that shit. They don't know how to make open world games, clearly.
Characteristic Nintendo,
which is fine. Not everyone has to.
So that almost brings us to the end of exploring how these NPCs
7 Days to Die came out of alpha and early access after 11 years. For real? I heard about that game. I always thought like it was like a scam or something, like another scam game, because those games like always just take so long to like actually come out. I have to check that out. Maybe I can play it on stream.
In Fallout 3, but there is one other class of NPCs that was actually the spark that got me interested in doing this video, doing this experiment, and that is these guys. This is somebody who has been captured by super mutants, and you as the player character can go to them and let them go. You can free them.
That's funny thing. I always thought this said. I always thought this is the same like in Far Cry games. I believe. This says untie, right? I always read that, at least in Far Cry games, as unite for some reason. Like I don't know why. I think my brain is just like I just got dyslexia or something. I always read it as unite. Like it made no sense.
Can go to them and let them go. You can free them because you are an angel.
It's not a scam game. Yeah, I just said like I always thought it was one.
Something like, oh, thank you
because I never knew anything about it. I just know the name. I know its name. I think it's a zombie game.
I've got to get out of here, but they never say where they're going. And
this part of the video is very interesting though. I want to pay close attention to this.
What is this NPC's life?
Where the fuck is he gonna go
after my role in their life is done? Do they go somewhere specific? Do they have a home? Or maybe in this case, because they don't have a destination, they do just disappear, like maybe we would have expected the other people.
I think they just wander until they die.
They run really fucking fast. They run faster than the player character, so it's really hard to keep up with them. And because you don't know where their destination is, you can't even like make good decisions about how to cut them off. So in the past, it's always been too annoying to follow them, but of course, I couldn't not do it for this video.
Maybe just increase character speed.
Ready? Set. Go. All right, here we go. Where are we going? Okay, down over here, okay. Train station, got it. Going inside here. Oh, wait.
He's gone.
Where'd he go? Hello? Hello? Oh my god, he turned into a ghoul. Okay, so this guy just made a beeline for the nearest enterable door. Then he went into it, and then he disappeared forever. Obviously, there's a fun little narrative you can build that he did.
Costs like 50 bucks and used to cost 10. That's kind of wild.
Mechanics are concerned,
I mean, it kind of has to cost like 50 bucks just because all of the games at least like cost at least that much, pretty much nowadays. Like every single game like costs at least 50, so they kind of have to like force it up there. Otherwise, they're just being generous, and obviously, being generous is only for like peak developers. Very few.
Kind of goes to what I was saying, that maybe because they don't have
those who are like self-aware, you know, about like, hey, you know what, my goal as a developer should be to make as many people possible play my game and enjoy it, and not to sell as many copies of it, or not as many copies of it as possible. As many, yeah, it should be like, here, I'll go from a monetary capitalistic standpoint. My goal should be to sell as many copies as possible, not make as much money as possible, which is what they do when they set the price so high, because you're not gonna get as many copies as possible, but you are gonna earn more money eventually, because the copy difference is minimal, to be honest, compared to like the price, how much money, like that price, what do you call it again? Price difference will, you know, make you. Like, you overall just make more money, but less people play your game. Like, it's not a right mentality to have as a developer.
Just disappear. But let's do it one more time with a different one.
Which is why I fully support fucking developers that say like, hey, here, my game's like 10 bucks. You know what? If you pirate it, I don't mind. It's like, bro, your game is 10 bucks and you still say you don't mind pirating it. Meanwhile, Nintendo here with their billions are like, no, you will not emulate the game even if it's legitimate. I want you to buy the console, 500 bucks, then play the game. You can't just buy the game. Impossible. What? No way.
And just see if
even if you buy the console and buy the game, there's no way we're gonna let you emulate it. Because guess what? If you do that, then we can't cut support for the game on the console later in 10 years and have you buy another console. So you have to rebuy the game.
Happens.
Because it only works on that new console.
Freed today? Okay, off you go. Oh geez. Man, she's really running. Now that's a lady that knows how to escape captivity. She ran for a little ways and then immediately started swimming in the Potomac River, but then she stayed in the Potomac River, and she stayed in the Potomac River.
What the fuck?
And then she tried to drown herself in the Potomac River.
Why?
And it was really hard to see her, so I kept almost losing track of her. It felt like playing one of those ball cupping games. Not ball cupping, you know what I'm saying. The games with the balls and the cups. Doesn't matter. Game. And then again, after about 10 minutes, she got out and started sprinting out into the wasteland again. Now, when you follow these NPCs around, you really do have to be careful about watching where they're going, because if you take your eyes off of them, they will just dart behind a rock, and then you won't know which way they went, and then you're done. So you have to follow them, and as you follow them, they're gradually going to get farther and farther away from you because they're faster than you. So you have to make guesses about what way you think they're going to go, and then try to like do a little Pythagorean theorem and cut them off in the way that they turn. Thankfully,
That's
every
wild.
once in a while they do like just stop to catch their breath, which often gives you a chance to keep up with them. So it's not horrible.
I was gonna say a chance to kill them as you pull out his gun.
This lady is we passed a lot of potential doors that she could have gone in if that's what she was going to do. Subway station doors, houses, buildings. We even got pretty close to the city of Megaton at one point, and I almost got
eventually she'll just
thought,
go into a building and
like
disappear, right? Like the last guy.
Explanation for all of those settlers that end up in Megaton. There are people who were released and then they run there and now they live there. But she didn't want to live in Megaton. She took one look at that hunk of junk and said, no thanks. I'd rather
I think she was just like she could just see the future. That's also why she's running away from you, probably, because she knows that you'll blow up Megaton eventually.
Chances out in the wasteland. And let me tell you, we ran all through the night. She would get scared and she would hide. When we got attacked, I would defend us and I would save her life. The more we ran, the more attached to her I got. And then at one point, she stopped to catch her breath and she said this.
This is hopeless.
Which kind of weirdly felt kind of sad to me, because, you know, she's an NPC in a video game. She didn't choose this situation, which kind of weirdly felt kind of sad to me.
This is hopeless.
The sun was just starting to creep up over the horizon, and we had been running all night long when we got attacked again. Oh. Of course, she didn't have any way to defend herself, so it was up to me to play bodyguard.
Yeah, just take all the bullets for her.
That I failed.
Oh, she's gonna die? No!
She got totally turned into green goo by a laser gun.
It's so
Every
fucking dark, bro.
Personality,
that
all
is
of
so
that
dark.
pessimism she had was just totally apathetically liquefied by
That's
a
so
computer
dark,
program
bro.
with a
I
gun.
can't.
Oh well. The consequence of this is that we will never really know where she was going. And maybe she didn't really know where she was going. It almost felt like she was running just for the sake of running, trying to stay alive as long as she could, even if she was never destined to settle down in one place. I've met people like that in real life. I'm sure you have too. The cold reality of game programming is probably something that's knowable. I'm sure somebody in the comments could even tell me, based on their knowledge of the creation engine, why this NPC behaved how they did. And obviously, I would love to know that. I have no clue, honestly. Stuff. But for my part, the more interesting question to me is, I wonder if God struggles to comprehend our behavior in the same way that we struggle to comprehend hers. I'm Any Austin. Thanks for watching.
Great video, bro. Great video, honestly. What a fucking good video.